All right, welcome everyone to the Dan McClellan after party, or should I say the Dr. Dan McClellan after party? Because I mean, he earned a fucking PhD. I might as well throw those extra letters in. You know what I'm saying? Mikey was with us. Then he ran away. I think we scared him for some reason, but he'll be back. But so far with us, of course, we have the guest of honor tonight, Dr. Dan McClellan is with us, and of course, my brother from another mother and co-host, Mr. Mikey Famine, who is with us, just he's invisible. And Michael Earhart is also with us. We got our favorite superhero, Irish Sweet, is with us. My brother from the other coast, Mr. Canadian Allman, is with us. My beautiful sister from down the other side of the line, who's a sailing expert, Stephanie, is with us. And of course, the one, the only, Captain Dadpool is also with us. And we're also expecting some more guests to pop in and out because, Dan's a pretty big deal. And many people have said they want to kind of pop in and say hi. So awesome. There you have it. And we're watching the Canuck Edmonton game, too, by the way.
Just bad news, Neil.
Was that
3-1? Bad news, Neil. 3-1.
Oh, fuck me. It's going to 7. What are you cackling about, Mikey? Jeez.
Hey, go Blackhawks.
Yeah, but we came down. Yeah.
No.
Well,
Rangers.
we've come back from a bigger
Rangers.
deficit like this. Rangers?
The Rangers
No,
still
they're
in
not
it,
going to get it.
My team's garbage, so I'm talking shit
still
about
in
everybody.
it, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Blackhawks had a few years.
Dallas is now going to the next round. They won. So if we end up on top here, then we'll end up facing Dallas, and I don't think we're going to go very much further, to be honest, because Dallas is a pretty unbeatable team right now.
They're a powerhouse. I'm kind of wondering who's going to win that Florida Rangers series, right?
I am too. I'm going with the original team, so that they're my. If one's in it, I'd like to see that one get through. Just because.
Tons is here.
I have no idea what's going on right
Oh,
now.
garbage.
We're talking about hockey. Yeah.
Did
I
someone
get
bring
that,
up
I get that
Texas?
we're talking about hockey. I got that much. Beyond that, I'm
Sorry,
kind
we're
of-
Canadian. It's playoff season. We can't help ourselves.
To be
And
fair,
some of us are from the other side of the border that were part of the original 5 teams. So there.
yeah, how'd you get screwed out of that deal? Get stuck in America instead of being in Canada. Wow, what a raw deal.
I know. It
Yeah, right?
sucks. It really does suck.
Talk about backing the wrong pony. Back the wrong
Neil.
eagle.
Neil, can I make you jealous? I got another pound of weed in the mail this week.
Oh wait, from right around the corner from where I live too, right?
I know. Yeah. It's Death Bubba.
Oh yeah, that's
28
one of my faves.
28.7% THC. It's
That's
fucking
good stuff.
nasty stuff, dude.
I had a buddy of mine went to a friend of mine's store and picked up a bunch of little pre-rolls, and he said, "You got to try this." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because it's almost 40% THC." And I went, "Are you trying to kill me?" It's like, is that what you're trying to do? So I tried it, and holy shit. Yeah, a couple of puffs, and I was like, I had to put it down. I was like, holy shit, that's enough for me.
We're all here for the transcendental experience. So.
I got a pre-rolled Pineapple Express. I'm like, oh, it's from the movie. This will be fun. Holy high. I was like, holy shit, I am really. And then I just came down very smooth. I was like, oh, this is why it costs a lot of money.
Yep.
Because it lets you off gently at your destination. It doesn't just like drop you from orbit and just like, good luck. Happy trail.
It is nice that way.
Apparently, Ollie's more than 80% THC.
I am. So,
Funny story.
I've
I've never done marijuana at all in my life. Up until a couple months ago, I was at a certain gathering.
We'll say,
and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you want to take a hit?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I took one hit, and then like 30 minutes later, I started talking really fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't shut myself up. What? I can't stop talking.
Yeah, it can have
one
that.
like puff
Yeah.
of this. It looked like a vape,
Mhm.
And I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
no, those are strong,
Jesus.
dude. Those are really strong.
Those
Oh
are
my
those
God.
are stronger than
Vapes
what
are
we
always
just talked
85%
about.
THC,
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are twice as strong as what we just talked about. Like the
Yeah.
strong.
Okay, yeah. I'm totally ignorant on the topic. Just like
They're-
Yeah.
the vapes. If someone offers you a vape, don't take it. If they offer you a
It's
blunt,
concentrate,
take it.
yeah. It's
that,
pure
that was my
concentrate.
first experience at
Oh, that's
almost
not
38 years
right.
old.
They shouldn't have did that to you.
I was like, wow, let me.
No, you gotta come over to
Tell
my
me
place,
again,
dude.
ever.
I'll show you. Like we'll smoke a couple of joints. We'll smoke.
Don't
a
do it,
couple
Ricky.
of bowls.
Don't do it, man.
A
Yeah,
couple of days in, I'll
I'm
get
a
some
good
hot
Christian
knives,
boy.
and then you'll be
I
all
stay
right.
away from.
Moontrack. Yeah, it can definitely. Daily use can. Of course, any drug you take can mess with your neurons. However, I did find a study. I can't remember what the hell it was called now, but
Weed study.
it was a study on the effects, and one of the two, indica or sativa. I think it was the sativa that they had found that some broken neural pathways were actually snapped back together with usage of this stuff. So
It does put
maybe it's not so bad.
I feel like indica puts your brain on fractal scramble. Like it's predictable, but you can't predict it. Like it's like something's happening in there. So maybe mathematically it just works out to all the numbers. Somebody go out there and count the neurons. Not it.
If you say it's all bad, that's that again is your opinion, I suppose. And no one's saying you have to do any of it, so stay away from it.
Yeah. I'm not stopping from a comment in the chat, so I'm just letting everybody know that now. This is not enough to get me to stop smoking weed.
Yep.
So we can just go ahead
know
and
your audience, the people you're talking to. That's obvious.
Like, no offense, Moontrack. I've been a pot smoker since probably the late '80s. So, if it affects your neurons that much, then I should be a drooling bag of poop right now. So,
well,
you know.
Yeah, I have a terrible.
Some people
memory
think I'm that way
already.
Oh, did anybody get cicadas yet?
No.
Ours aren't.
Oh, the biggest hatch is like
brood.
one in every couple hundred years or some shit.
221 years.
Yeah.
Our brood hasn't come out yet, but they're in other parts of Illinois already.
Ours is in July.
Yeah.
Our cicada season. Yeah.
Sounds close.
Tracheotomy in my future. That's possible.
My kids will like go out and like they'll bring in like all the cicada like shells. Be like, Daddy, look what I found, and like, yeah, I know. And then we'll have like dozens of them on the floor, and I got to sweep them up.
I watched like what is that? Real Science. Her video on cicadas was so creepy, but I couldn't turn away from it. It's like I know so much more about these really gross things that are just going to be running into my car at 80 miles an hour because they're morons. Like they're not equipped to do anything. They're the worst bug. They just don't even know how to bug correctly.
The shape of
how to bug correctly.
They fly like shit. It's like a boot with wings on its ass. Like it's so ungainly. They make all the noise on the earth. It's like 115 decibels in like for like a tree of them. I'm like, oh great, I'll just use that to go to bed. You know,
like literally every anime I've ever watched has some scenes where there's like cicadas in the background.
Mm-hmm. That's when it's getting serious. When there's like stare down and then a wee.
Give me a couple of minutes here, Dan. I thought of a question I wanted to ask you, and I've forgotten it, so it's going to take me a couple of minutes. I wanted to ask you. I forgot to ask you in the main interview, so it'll come back to me.
With the pot, Neil's always like that.
Waiting for that.
I have a question.
You have a question, Stephanie? Go ahead.
I do. I do have a question. My question is on the ancients' view towards writing generally, as what was writing a sort of a magical act. Because you would think that that just the mere act of recording stuff. I mean, obviously, people have been telling stories since the species became a species, and it seems like writing itself would be considered a bit of wizardry or magic or somewhat of a godlike property, really.
It certainly, for the illiterate, it had the illusion of magic. But yeah, they certainly associated power with writing, and particularly names. So to inscribe a name or to write a name was to materialize it. And so someone's agency, their power, their authority could be understood to kind of inhabit that materialization of the name, which is why in certain parts of the world, images of individuals, and particularly emperors and kings and things like that, images or their names would be like chiseled out as a means of trying to, and particularly after they were dead, as a means of trying to limit the length of their afterlife. So if you think of the movie Coco, if you eliminated all their names, nobody could remember who they were, and their afterlife was basically shortened as a result of that. And
it worked in reverse too, right?
Yeah, you wanted to
Like
inscribe your
erase
name all
names
over the
and-
place. Yeah. And so and this is, we see in Isaiah, there's a part where Isaiah talks to the eunuchs and says, I'll give you a name that is better than sons and daughters. And it says the term is yad, which is usually translated monument in my temple.
It's
The idea of
Bostonian
being-
for yard.
The idea is that you'll have a standing stone with your name on it, which will basically guarantee your afterlife. And because it would be in God's temple, it would last for a lot longer. But the wealthier people had mortuary temples or chapels where they would set up standing stones of deceased relatives, and they would go have meals with them and things like that. So the names were powerful, and you see this in the idea that the temple in Jerusalem is the place where I will cause my name to dwell. And so there was certainly different notions of power associated with writing, and particularly when you get into the Greco-Roman period, you have all different kinds of spells that use certain kinds of writing, certain characters, certain words, certain names could affect certain things. So yeah, it was definitely considered a means of transferring different kinds of agency and power and things like that.
Yeah, even the pronouncement Hashem is like somewhat magical. It's like, well, it's Hashem is the name.
Yeah. Thank you, Boltorian. I appreciate the kind words, and good to see you here too.
I have a take on this question, if you'll permit me.
Do it.
What I learned from Dr. Candida Moss's book, God's Ghostwriters, highly recommend, is that
The boy.
shameless plug. I'm not sponsored. There we go.
Good book.
Represent. Oh, it's such a good book. What I learned from the book is it was much more common than we might think for slaves to copy manuscripts and write things out, because it was seen like by the wealthy ruling class, it was seen as like a mundane task, something they didn't want to do. Even if whether they were literate or not, they didn't want to do it. So they would hire like slaves, literally, who were trained in this. To
Are you
copy.
saying they were literal slaves? Never mind.
Yes. Yeah.
jeez.
Good one. I gotcha. Almost got past me for a second there. I got no. But yeah, like the idea of literacy being sort of like a mystical property or trait. It's hard to see when you're reading this stuff, because it's like they hired slaves to do this stuff for them. Now maybe later interpreters would come along and like disagree with their interpretation or disagree with the way they copied certain manuscripts, and they would be like, oh, they were influenced by whatever other outside entity. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that.
They were influenced by the really good bud they were smoking at the time.
Still high.
Are you picking up what I'm putting down, Dan?
Oh yeah,
Does it make any sense?
yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Just the practice of writing in general had lost some of the aura. Initially, like with Plato, he was complaining that these kids these days, they don't bother to memorize anything. Writing, the practice of writing is going to make everybody forget everything.
God, fucking smartphones.
And so
the internet. I blame the internet.
But you had that was on the elite level, but you also had the more popular level, where it was particular words and particular names and things like that, that if you used particular ways of inscribing them and things like that, that you had they had these magical properties. So you had bowls that would have this. You have the Katephinom silver scrolls from 600 BCE, where you have a version of the priestly blessing inscribed on them. They were rolled up tight. They would have been kept as an apotropaic amulet, a way of warding off evil. And so there are a lot of different ways that writing was understood to function, and in different levels of society, it was viewed in different ways as well.
In some cases, you used words to complain about your copper dealer. You get that reference. Is that the oldest cuneiform writing or something like that? Is a customer complaint?
Yeah,
they certainly did have those. Customer complaints or writing to the king to whine about somebody else.
Or people calling out of work. That was a thing in ancient writing. Yeah.
Remember to take my pills.
Yeah.
It's funny. Oh, sorry. You were talking about customers and stuff. And I learned something real quick the other day. The expression "the customer's always right" is only part of the actual expression.
In matters of taste.
Yes.
In matters of taste, correct. That's right. So
If they want to buy an ugly ass hat, fine.
let them buy it.
I got more in the back if you want them. Give you all the ugly hats you
my
can
question
stomach.
is when we were learning, obviously, Greek, it was very easy to see kind of the decade difference based on how parts of speech were used and also the level of education that somebody had when they were writing. Obviously, they start you off with John because whoever wrote John was very simplistic in their syntax. And if you try to read Luke, you obviously have somebody that's a group of authors that is much more. But we didn't get into that in Hebrew as far as like what are the big differences between how you date based on syntax, parts of speech, or even vocabulary.
That's because that's a very controversial issue, whether or not it's even possible to date biblical texts based on the language. And they kind of roughly divided up into early biblical Hebrew, classical biblical Hebrew, late biblical Hebrew, that more or less correspond with pre-exilic, exilic, post-exilic periods. But there are a handful of ways that you can kind of sometimes distinguish them, but frequently you would have later writers that are imitating some of those earlier features. And so it's not really easy to divide them up that way. And that's been a big debate. There are folks who say you can't use it at all as a means of dating biblical text. There are other folks who say, yeah, you can kind of draw some rough lines around earlier and later texts. And one book that I think does a pretty good job of laying that out is a book by a guy named Ron Hendel, and then another scholar who shan't be named because he turned out to be a user of child pornography and spent time in prison, and so he's been basically excised, but which really screwed over the co-author on this book. But the book is called "How Old is the Hebrew Bible? A Linguistic, Textual, and Historical Study."
Not old enough.
Oh,
Because I mean, if you think about it,
Really?
2,000 years from now, they will be able to delineate roughly when something was written based on the word computer. When that started being used. Now, obviously, I don't know how many new words would be entering
or
the
the two
lexicon.
words OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Well,
Those are Greek.
COVID-19.
They can be, sure.
There can be.
Solios Phanasia. That's what it was.
Y2K.
Pikachu.
But no, like that's one of the methods that's used when not just like dating text, but determining whether like Paul wrote certain letters or not. So like certain letters like Hebrews would use certain phrases that were not really popular or commonly not popular is not rude, not really commonly used at the time of Paul's life. But then like maybe 20, 30 years after Paul's writings, this phrase started becoming more common. So you read like Hebrews, and it's like it's using this word much more often, and Paul doesn't use it at all, or only uses it once, maybe. But then they can date those texts, or it's one of the methods of potentially dating those texts by saying, yeah, he's using these phrases much more frequently than Paul did. So maybe this text is like 20, 30 years later because it would fit better in the linguistic progression. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because like my parents
It's
would have
lit,
used
fam.
the words far out versus whatever the kids are saying. These
Yeah.
days.
It's lit, fam.
It's exactly. Yeah, like everyone's saying Riz now. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Riz?
Is that the
Before that,
Cubs
it was
player?
Phil or I don't know.
Rizzo?
But it's always interesting to me though, because like German is an interesting language because it's just a bunch of words thrown together. Like submarine is Unterseebooten, and so how are you going to be able to determine, because the usage of the word boat versus submarine, the invention of the submarine, delineates in English the word submarine, a particular year or era of.
Yeah. But we have access to the data about when they pop up. And that's the difference. We don't know when these things frequently, we can't tell when these things suddenly popped up. We're trying to figure it out. And like, if somebody says,
that's just a lack of source, right? Like
Yeah.
if you had a million other writings from those times.
but if you hear somebody say you got that Skibbity Ohio Riz, you gotta go find
I never looked at another. I never looked at another man before. How dare you?
You have no idea what that means, even though we're living in the same time period, same regions. And
Dan, I think you just invented a new phrase that's going to come up in like the next 5 years. I've never heard that before.
I promise you, I did not invent that.
Is that one going to be on the test?
Maybe I'm sheltered.
No, that's the Skibbity Riz is you got no game, you got no charisma, and Skibbity Ohio Riz is.
That makes sense. I actually have I have a youth pastor friend that I talk to every now and then. He was telling me one day how one of the frustrations about his job is trying to keep up with the lingo of like the kids in his youth group. He was telling me like all these terms, and I was like, yeah, I've never heard that before either. What does that even mean? And he was like, that's the thing. I didn't know either. I had to look it up. And it meant something totally different than what I thought. So like, yeah, this.
Well,
Yeah.
the question is it sinful? I mean, how do you know?
It's a constant problem.
There's a content creator on TikTok, and now I can't for the life of me remember his name, but he's
Jeremy.
he's in middle school education somewhere, but his channel is about updating you on the middle school lingo.
Really?
So he'll be like, and this term has changed over the last few months. Now the kids are using this to mean this thing rather than the other thing. It takes a very critical database approach to it, which I love, but it's so funny.
I need to find that guy.
I will need this.
Whatever happened to like radical?
I need to find that.
It's now
was just
used to
thinking,
describe most
our
politicians
generation-
in the United States.
Yeah,
Our generation only had like 3 or 4 words. They've got like a whole library now of phrases and words. I love
No, you
our
just don't.
generation.
You're
though.
just so stoned you don't remember half the things you probably said when you know.
I'm talking
40
about the
years
big
ago.
ones like dude and
Wait, what are we
which,
talking
which
about?
by the way, I love dude because dude can be used in so many different situations. Like if you're happy for your
Okay,
friend,
dude.
you can be like dude.
Whatever,
if you're
dude.
worried about something, you can be like dude. Or if you're worried somebody's behind a door with an axe, you can be like dude.
It's
There's
Or
also-
if someone said something like really offensive, you can be like, dude.
yeah.
The movie in the
You
movie
know better.
Basketball, the creators of South Park in the movie Basketball, they've got a scene where the two characters just go, dude, 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 and they just go back and forth, and by the end they're like, dude, and then they hug and make up, and so it's a
You
hilarious.
could do that with several words. One obviously being fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember the first time I ever heard that way back in the early days of the internet. I found a recording of that, and fuck can be used in multiple different ways. You fucking fucking, as an adverb, as a verb, as a noun, as a what you can use it in any form, and
The
that was
past
pretty funny.
pluperfect participle of fuck is.
That's fucked
All
up.
in the tone and context.
Oh,
Damn you, participles.
Hanging principle.
The fact
Guy
that
who
we
gear
even
says,
had to learn the like in
"Where's
Greek,
my car?"
in Koine Greek, the
Dude.
past pluperfect
fair.
when it was only used like 7 times in the entire New Testament was just baffling to me.
Is there a Greek or a Koine Greek equivalent to
Dude,
dude?
what's mine say?
Yeah.
Dan, what do you think? Or anybody
Verily,
else?
verily, I say to you is said about how many times in the New Testament?
Too many.
Because
I
amen
don't-
is, amen
That's-
is
kind of dude.
yeah, it's amen. It's verily, verily. I mean, that word is used. That's probably one of the
Verily,
most
verily?
popular words.
Verily, my dude.
Barely. We
Say
will.
unto you.
What's the one
That
that's in
was
the
the other thing
Mormon?
when I went to school. I was like, wait, amen is actually the start of a sentence, not the
Yeah,
end
what
of a
about
prayer.
mine?
What's the
that's
Mormon
a
one?
transliteration from
Uh,
Hebrew, so it's a borrowing. It's not a Greek word in and of itself.
It's Omain.
What's the Mormon one that's repeated over and over again in their book?
And
Oh,
it
every
came
other-
to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
somebody had a meme the
I
other day
shit
that
you
said,
not.
replace that. Yeah, replace that with "I shit you not." Every time it says it came to pass, I shit you not.
That's the Rastafarian translation, I think.
Wait,
Remembering
whoa.
correctly.
I don't know about this moon track. Fucking should be banned from the planet. Well, then how do we procreate? We'll just go extinct if that happens.
There's
You
a
say you're looking for
version
an
of
atheist Jew?
And how would we all get to sleep? I mean,
there was a version of the King James.
Hi, Joanna.
Mine is just on it today.
it's almost a requirement at this point in my life.
There's a version of the King James version somebody published where they took every occurrence of "behold" and replaced it with "look, buddy," and it's hilarious
Look, buddy.
because that's not a bad translation of the
that's-
Hebrew Hine.
Jesus, Texas Ranger.
Jesus, Texas Ranger.
Buddy.
All right, Chief.
Send Nitty a link, Mikey. I think he's
Look
sent
at
you a
you.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and it looks the guy who does the slang. It's only one part of his channel, but is Mr_Lindsay_Sped SPED Lindsay with a SAY. But he's got a bunch of
Is that on TikTok?
yeah.
Lindsay sped.
Oh, so you're not talking about the Gen Z Bible, are you?
No.
I
Who,
could,
by the way, suddenly I've discovered is not a fan of mine. Like he's included me in a couple of his readings.
really?
And I was like, "Oh, cool, that's great." And now he's commenting on videos of mine, like giving me a hard
Uh-oh.
time.
Who's this? Who's this? What I miss?
the Gen Z Bible creator on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I thought he was a fan of mine, but no, suddenly he's showing up on the debunking Dan channel, cheering
oh,
on
geez.
the folks who are upset with me. So I don't know what I did to annoy him, but
There's a creator whose tag is just Koine Greek, and I followed him for like a couple of years, and then literally today, like 3 or 4 hours ago, I saw him like respond to one of your videos and be like, Dan's wrong about this, and it turns out he's not the person I thought he was. Like, you never know.
I always
Who
know.
it is you're following.
Koine
Like,
Greek.
man, I thought you were cool. No.
I'm not familiar with that account, but there's one that there's somebody by that name, but it looks like I'm blocked.
That's probably the one.
They're not showing up. Oh, that's
There's a
funny.
really annoying
Which is weird,
account
isn't
called
Yeah,
Irish
it's one of your
Swede that's
videos today.
documenting his return from open heart surgery into running. If you're ever inclined.
Yeah. I follow that dude.
Nah.
I know.
I was
that.
able to actually put a full 2.5 miles together today.
There you go.
Wow.
Ooh,
Right.
hell yeah.
Poltorian says debunking facts. How's that working out for them?
It's very
You're running, right, Swede?
What's that?
That's running.
Yeah, actual jogging,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
walking.
Hell yeah.
So one step
Nitty.
closer to
Hey,
Hey, Nitty.
Y'all hear me fine?
Yeah.
Comic book
Awesome.
geek
Few people that can
converge.
give Neil a run for his Lego collection.
Yeah.
Oh, I would
Yeah.
think Dan likes my background more.
that is a sexy background.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Gotta be honest. Yeah.
You know what, Nitty? You got a good backdrop. I'll give it to you.
There you go.
Neil,
There's
did you
some
get your tie
close-ups.
interceptor yet?
Tons of posters.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And it came with some cool GWPs too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yes, I got the
GWPs.
I got the Droidica with mine too.
Droidica.
Oh, I have to get the Droidica still.
Droidica.
Neil,
And came with this one too.
Oh my god.
Oh, I
That's
opened up a
pretty-
different Ricky. I opened up a different browser that doesn't have me logged into TikTok, so I was able to access the guy's account.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, he's
Found
trying to lecture me about at least in one of these videos, trying to lecture me about the verb for. Yeah, he's totally misrepresented my points when I'm talking about the contradiction of Judas's death between Acts and Matthew.
But he,
I was-
but he blocked you. So he
Yeah, I'm
he
blocked.
responded to you, but
Class.
blocked you.
Well, I don't know when he blocked me, but I'm blocked at the moment. It probably was before he ever responded to this video.
Yeah, I unfollowed him as soon as I saw that. I was like, oh, I thought for some reason I thought you were cool, but no.
But yeah, they're yeah, and he's going to the wrong verb. Like I was talking about how the verb in Acts says he acquired, and it was in Matthew where it says he purchased. And now he's going in here saying, "Oh, but the verb for to purchase means this, that." and
Yeah,
other."
that's the
I
one.
didn't even make a point about that verb. I was talking only about the verb in Acts, which is an entirely different verb.
New
Yeah,
member.
Welcome our new member, Fern Lovebond.
Hey, Fern.
Neat.
Fern, who I
Have
went
I
on
seen
Discord.
the Lego Technic or the one from Dune that I have sitting over there? Is that the one you're talking
that
about?
one? That one right there.
That one.
Yes.
There's
Yes,
two
I do have.
Lego-
I
No.
have it.
Are they all tan?
Are they what?
Are they all tan? You know, like tan.
Oh, no, it's the ornithocopter or whatever that they fly in.
Ornithopter.
Oh,
Ornithopter, yeah,
yeah, just like
Like
Magic
Dragonfly.
Together. Get with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I got one.
Yeah, they're in the future, 12,000 years in the future, but they haven't figured out freaking helicopters.
It's post-apocalyptic, man.
Helicopters are so front door
8,000.
sweet.
Interplanetary travel, nailed it.
There you go.
Helicopter.
Interplanetary travel nailed it. Massive
Radios.
planet with sandstorms with lots of moving parts in a way to get around. Yeah, that just makes complete sense.
That's kind of one of my quibbles with Star Wars. Like they shoot lasers and you can just bounce them off with the lightsabers. But like, what happened to lead bullets? If you shot a lead bullet at a lightsaber,
actually,
it would
it goes
just turn
into
into
that in some of
molten
the old
lead
legends
and hit
material.
you, and it would hurt.
It goes into that in some of the old legends.
They just
material,
skipped
too.
over that entirely.
Yeah.
Apologies, Boltorian. I didn't realize that's what you meant. The Ori is the model of the solar system or whatever, which I do not have yet.
What
Yeah,
the hell?
look at that. I do
For
plan
all
on
these
getting it. I also want
Regios.
10 memberships, guys. 10 memberships. Thanks, Regios.
Wow, Regios, thank
Nice.
you. Regios
Yeah,
is the
thanks.
best.
I want to get that one, and there's a couple other space-themed ones I want. I've already got the Mars rover, and I've got the lunar lander, and I've got the International Space Station, and there's a few other ones I want to get still. And they actually re-released my favorite theme from way back in the day, the late 70s, early 80s, the space theme. They've
Yes.
relaunched that, and I've picked up a bunch of those already. So those are pretty cool. I didn't put one together. Which is like awesome. It's the space station. So little
Damn.
fucking space station thing there, and they got all the little ships and satellites and stuff on it.
Dan, I love Diabolic Critics.
Oh yeah,
What?
that's been a lot of fun.
That monthly series is great. What are you guys doing this month?
We have no idea.
Oh.
In fact, I think tomorrow. I think we may have postponed it for a bit, just because so many
Oh,
people are busy this month.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's been some chat back and forth about what to do, and I haven't really been. I'll pay attention once I have an idea. But
You gotta be the super duper awesome idea, man. Come on, you could do it.
I just finished my trade book
Oh.
this last week. I just turned it in this last week, and so now it's moving into the copy editing phase. And so I've been so busy with all of that stuff that I am
Okay.
letting them run the show. I show up when they tell me to show up, and other than that, I let them run the show. They usually have better ideas than me anyway.
Oh, did we stop talking about Lego collections?
I made them
Why, you wanna
change
go-
the subject.
No,
Why do you want to go back to that?
my wife
talk
has
about
recently
disc
gone
golf if
into
you want.
the flowers,
Oh,
Yes, there's a lot of botanical sets.
and they're all over the house.
I think that's great.
But they're really cool. Yeah, I like them.
look, if you were my wife, those would be the only plant option available to you to put in the house because
She won't kill them.
she the things that she's the best at raising my kids, reading, taking care of plants is like in hell, Hades. It's just killing plants is the third thing that she's really good at. So she would Lego ones and can't kill them.
So if I got a plant that won't leave me alone, Fern,
Just
I can just hand them over to your wife.
Well, it looks like my spider finally finished eating her cricket, so
That's
There you
good.
go.
she's
What kind of spider?
crawled back up to
Tell
her
her
little
to brush
hammock.
your fangs.
It's a Phidippus regis jumping spider. They call it the regal jumping spider. And
Is the
she's
spider
currently going
belt?
through her Halloween phase where she's all orange and black and white and stuff. So.
Oh, that's cool.
What's that, Stefan?
I was just wondering how did the spider belch after consuming?
Yeah, did you burp your spider?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Spider
I
burps
should probably get on that.
Usually, when the spider barks, it's
There's
not
a big
really
girl.
spider.
There you go.
When spiders burp, it's quite violent and loud. It is, Some people think it's gunfire.
No, I thought that was acorns.
Jeez,
Can you
that
adopt
poor
a
fucking
pig?
guy? That poor fucking guy. God. You just
You
try
should
to be
make-
petty with your ex-girlfriend. Next thing you know, the fucking cops dump 90 fucking bullets into the back of their own squad car. Fucking
I saw this
crazy.
minifigure guy and I had to have him because it's the dude in the T-Rex
Oh,
suit,
yeah.
which I thought was fucking awesome. So I had to get him.
Do you have the one in the piggy suit? Because then
I
it
do
could
not.
talk to your spider.
Huh.
And they can have
What?
their own little Charlotte's Web, you know?
That's
Oh, I
something.
jeez.
Oh,
Wow.
That was an epic yarn, spindled
Come
wonderfully.
on.
I do have a Chainsaw Man minifigure. if you
Okay,
like
that's
that,
awesome.
that's cool.
yeah. Of course,
Still top 10 anime intro songs of all time.
there's Luffy, of course. These are Japanese Lego, so they're knockoffs,
Well, yeah, I
but
was
they're
going to
still
say, those
awesome.
aren't official.
No. And of course, Saitama, One Punch Man.
Oh, nice. Any love for Venom Gobby? Yeah, Venom Gobby?
Any what?
Venom Goblin. Venom Green Goblin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Venom Goblin.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Is that canon?
Yeah,
did-
yeah.
I
it's
do.
in
I
the
do. I
comics.
do have Lex Luthor in a Superman outfit, though. So
Wait, they got so bored at Spider-Man that Venom started taking over the villains?
Yeah, there's a
Yep.
Carnage, Carnage Goblin. Dan knows.
Wow.
Yeah, Venom's taken over pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
Speaking
like
of
every-
Lex Luthor, Neil, my favorite,
haven't-
DC movie nugget or gold or what do you call it?
Easter egg.
Easter egg was Lex Luthor at the very end. His prisoner number is TK421,
Nice.
who, if you remember, is the name of
Star
the
Wars.
stormtrooper
Yeah.
that Luke
Yep.
took over
Yep.
in
Why is
Under
it?
Hope.
Looks like we got a bad communicator.
Yep.
Look, you haven't lived until you've had a symbiote. All right, like this is common knowledge.
I've had bad girlfriends before. I mean, I feel like I know.
They're both pretty hard to get rid of, so I mean that's
I
canon.
know. Had to leave the state.
The way to get
what?
Had to
I mean, the way to
stop it.
get the way to get rid of Venom is just to keep screaming. So I mean,
Oh,
Yep.
that worked actually.
Always carry a bell with you.
There's a page from Spider-Man comic
What?
I've seen posted a few times recently.
No, yeah.
A friend of mine, Todd Knock, is the artist. But they're Venom and Spidey are on a beach. Spider-Man takes off his costume and he's like, "You want me to take me? I'm yours." And Venom's like, "What's going on here? We feel like
Whoa.
Spidey has taken a turn." And then he's like, "You wanted to be a part of me? Well, now I want you. Come and get me." And then Brock's like, "No, I'm going to pound you so hard for this, Spider-Man." And a guy on a boat offshore is like, "Do you hear yourselves?"
Phrasing.
oh man, are we still using phrasing?
Yeah.
I don't
Good
think
old,
Archer,
Archer.
will ever be uncouth.
Oh, I have.
Archer's hilarious.
Oh, is that what that's from?
Yep.
Yeah. Wait, have you not watched Archer, Mike?
Phrasing.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious.
I watch the same movies 50 times in a row.
Because you have kids. I get it.
Oh, yeah. That was what it was.
Wait till you watch Bluey all three seasons 8 times
Yeah.
in a day.
You're
It's
gonna
cool, man.
cry.
We're still not at Bluey yet, and I'm okay with that.
It-
But
When the
she's
time
also
comes, you're
one
going to
and
be
a
all
half.
like, Bluey.
She's like
It,
one and
it'll
a
teach
half,
you how
so
to parent. It's fine.
I mean that's kind of presumptive, but okay.
Hey, I've taken the lessons well. Okay.
Yeah, it's
You'll-
still
you'll like-
presumptive, but okay. Less, but still.
All right, I don't know if we're still on topic, but I had to run upstairs to get my one Lego thing that I got from a
Okay.
Comic-Con.
Hey, you're part
Thanos'
of this.
gauntlet.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen that before. Those are really neat.
If you would have got the time stone first, would this whole thing could have just been avoided?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just saying.
I
He
think
could've
Lego
time
is
first.
always on topic on Neil's channel.
Oh, no way!
Oh, way to one up me, Dan. Oh, cool.
That
so
is
cool.
amazing.
Yes.
This is it's 3D printed. It's not an actual like
Irrelevant.
Lego.
So-
Still amazing.
Friend of mine
Yeah,
named
it's-
Spencer.
It's only
goes,
3D printed. It's not real. Okay.
I don't know what it
Okay.
is. What is
It's
it?
me,
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
and the beard kind of
You look like Jack
goes
Black.
like. Well, he had to get the little eyebrow thing in there, but it's got a little Bible that I can
Throw at people.
wave around. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that's not the only toy I've been given of myself.
Yeah, I saw you show that before. That's
Somebody-
pretty cool.
Dude, that's nuts.
Somebody sent this to me, and here's the. Let's see if it still plays.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion.
You probably
Wow.
couldn't hear that very well. The
yeah.
Yeah,
we can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
All right, there's one more thing.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
It's so good.
I would move
Yeah.
house.
The
man.
guy who the TikTok account goes by Retro Gimmick, and this is one of the things he does is makes custom toys. So.
I wonder if he's made one for Jose Monkey, because Jose Monkey's pretty popular too, and he's got his little catchphrases as well. So what can we see? You know, that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
Which
you
one
guys
is
have
it?
those are.
What you need is a
Jose Monkey's pretty
catchphrase
funny.
there. You need a catchphrase, Neil, so we can get that on a toy. We need
And
a
then this
Neil
isn't a
I need a
toy.
catchphrase.
Yeah.
This isn't a toy, but somebody in the room made
I know who made that.
a Wolverine claw
Oh, do
knife
you?
for me. Yeah.
Nice.
Gee, I wonder who that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
This was a gift that went along with a commissioned knife that I had Ricky make for me for a friend of mine who goes by Joel McHale. So I haven't heard yet back from Joel, by the way, Ricky. So he's,
Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah.
but the package should have reached his house. But he's,
Oh, you mailed it off already?
Yeah, I think he's in Canada right now. He
Watching
doing
hockey or something.
I hear that place is scary.
4-1 Neil.
They're I think they have been filming that Crime Scene Kitchen show in Toronto, I think. So
Crimes in Kitchen? Who's
Crime
that?
Scene Kitchen.
Crime Scene.
It's it's a cooking game show where some chefs have prepared some item, and then they've removed the item but left all the whatever they've used to prepare things in the kitchen, and then these other chefs have to go in and try to recreate whatever was made based on the ingredients and the garbage and whatever they've found in the kitchen. It's kind of a gimmicky game show, but Joel hosts it, and he has fun.
Interesting. Sounds like it's called in prison. They call it Chi-Chi, and they take ramen noodles and they mix
no.
whatever they can. Like they'll save like certain. I used to be a corrections officer, so like they'll save like certain things from like their breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and then they'll mix it together in their room with ramen noodles, and they call it Chi-Chi. So, and we would have like cooking, like mock cooking competitions to see who would come up with the best.
Best Chi-Chi.
Yeah, Chi-Chi, and yeah.
That's
Anyway,
there was an
reminded me
episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Jake is in going undercover in prison, and they're just going back and forth with everybody about the best ramen.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
show's great. My wife and I got through that whole
Yeah,
series.
ramen is like cigarettes in prison. Yeah, they'll like grind up their
There you go,
Cheetos or whatever and mix it in there.
Oh,
And
really?
I've done stuff like that here at home. It's pretty good. Just out of curiosity, like flaming hot Cheetos, mix those in with your ramen. That's pretty good. Anyway.
Did you catch that? I pulled out the claws. Wolverine claws.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, I just got them online. They're like $12.
Yeah. Did you figure out how the knife I made you, Dan, fits in the stand?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been floating free recently, but yeah, it took me a minute, but yeah, figured it out.
You know, I have to explain when I had to remake that stand because I had the box was already pre-made and like I burned it and stained it, and then I made the stand and it was too big for your knife, and I couldn't just like trim it down. I had to like remake it entirely.
Yeah.
It's like when I had it all made out, I was like, "Oh, that looks great! Oh, I'm so happy with this." And I tried to put it, and I was like, "It won't fit in the box! God damn it!" So I had to, like remake it entirely.
Yeah.
And it fit like just perfectly. It's like it's one of those things like I should have thought of this, but I didn't.
That's all right. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you.
Could you put a magnet? Could you put a magnet in the handle of a knife and then put another magnet in the stand and levitate the knife?
Technically.
An electromagnet, yes. A regular magnet, no.
No, it just wouldn't work with a regular one.
Yeah, regular magnets, you wouldn't have enough, unless you had like a really serious,
like an earth magnet,
pound magnet.
The neodymiums might work.
Yeah.
Neil probably knows more about this than I do. Do you have any ideas on that, Neil? Could you
when
make
it comes
like
to
a
magnet, you'd need an electromagnet in order for that to work properly. You can put even earth magnets, like super strong ones, like these little guys here. You could use them, but it's just
stuff.
It's like you got one in the end of your knife, and you got one on the stand that you're doing. You want it to hover. It's not going to happen. It's just going to shoot it right off right there.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Don't want that room.
Unless you have access to like liquid nitrogen, then you could like use quantum locking to like maybe levitate it for a little while.
What?
Okay.
Quantum locking.
You can adjust, like you can lock you can lock the attitude of something in relation to something else if you have it super chilled next to a super conducting magnet. It's weird.
No shit.
I'm just trying to sound smart. I really have no idea what I'm talking about.
I knew it. You threw quantum in there to sound smart. Stop.
Well, no, real. It is
Deepak Chopra, settle down, all right?
It is called quantum locking, where you like soak a magnet in liquid nitrogen, and it'll allow like metals to levitate. But beyond that, I have no idea how it works.
Yes.
Right, Neil?
At first, I thought you
Super
said
cooling the
quantum.
magnet. The super cooling the magnet does work. Yes.
At first, I thought you said quantum docking, and I was like, mm-mm.
That's not a thing.
Where are we going with that one?
This is Neil After Dark.
It breaks the space time. It breaks the space time continuum.
How would that even work?
I couldn't.
I don't
help
think that's
myself.
scriptural. Dave.
No.
I don't think that's scriptural at all.
Shoots right off. Title of my sex tape.
In the name of science, I'm willing to do what it takes to find out.
Do it.
If it shoots right off, what? What are you talking about? That little, like,
I'm sorry, Dan. This is a great first.
you going to be at the
impression,
Baja
man.
Con in August?
Behave yourselves.
This is what we do.
You
Yeah,
try
no,
some
no.
of that superconducting docking or whatever the fuck it's called. Where are we even going with this anymore?
Super conducting.
I blame that Spider-Man page.
Spooderman.
You know, I try to get my spider to bite me all the time, and I don't have powers yet. I want to know what's going on here.
I thought I was going to get
Should
superpowers.
I put her in the microwave first? Or?
There you go.
I thought I was going to get superpowers from the damn vaccine. I didn't get shit but a sore arm for a fucking day and a half. Fucking ripoff.
Hey,
I know. I thought it was going to be like
you didn't
electromagnetic
get-
stuff and all the fridge magnets would fly off and hit me in the head and stuff.
I didn't get not one
you got any
superpower.
5G or anything? That seems
No,
like
my cell phone works exactly the same.
God damn it.
5G.
What was the point?
Did they have 5G in the Bible?
Probably.
If you mean generations, yeah, there were lots of them.
I mean, we're gonna go back to just like, let's get serious about it. Did they have 5G in the Bible? How about how the reception in Sinai is terrible. It's just awful.
I think back then it was BG, but I'm not sure.
The amount of people that think that 500,000 people walked around the Sinai Peninsula for 40 years and left zero pottery shards.
Well, see, they didn't have that. They didn't have the geolocation. It wasn't working so hot.
Well, no, it's the fact that they
relying
left
on the
behind
pigeons,
nothing.
and
There's
the
not
pigeons
even like
were
petrified
Right.
They were
poop.
terrible.
Right. There's no evidence.
The funny thing about that is, just before
Everything.
Passover this year, because my family still celebrates the whole Passover thing, I made mention to my sister. I said, "You do know that story is just made up. It's not real. It never happened. That kind of thing." And she's like, "Well, I want to believe what I want to believe." I'm like, "That's fine. You should know that there are scholars that don't think it actually happened." Oh, well, whatever. And then I didn't get the invite to dinner, so I missed my matzo ball soup this year, people.
Oh no!
She'll teach you next year. You're going to be saying, "Yep, it sure did happen."
Why is tonight different from any other night, Neil? Come on now.
The price you pay for being a skeptic. It's not an easy life.
I suppose, but yeah, but I told her,
sacrifices.
If that pissed you off, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. But you say you didn't want to invite me because I didn't believe in it. And I'm like, well, I still like my family, and I still want to,
Hang out with
see my family and have some good food because you're a good cook. And she kind of blushed. Okay, next year you're in. All right, yes.
There you go.
Tell her I said, don't do that shit no more.
You're stuck with a horseradish, Neil. You can bring your own horseradish.
Oh, you know what we call that stuff? The red horseradish that they use, Pat? We call that Jewish Dristan. Because it clears the sinuses.
I can see why. Clean you right out.
And you mix that with the horoseth and the matzah, and the two, like the super hot and the calmness of the horoseth, which is apples and nuts and stuff that you mix together, and you eat it. It's supposed to represent the mortar that they use for the brick building and all that. And you eat those together. It's the best thing ever, man. I love that combination.
I did not know that.
Very good.
Trail mix.
Good Christian girl goes to Brandeis, learns a lot.
And I got to have my gefilte fish too.
Oh yeah,
Gavelka fish.
Gefilte fish.
All my Rush Hour fans out there, y'all know what's up.
Yeah.
Y'all know what's up.
The bloopers at the credit reel. Yep. Chris Rock just couldn't figure it out.
Wow. Who said Chris Rock?
I keep losing Joanna.
No,
I think she's having some.
Lay yourself on my altar.
Yeah.
I know she's not at home right now, so.
Yeah.
She's in government protection.
Chris Tucker.
Right now.
Wasn't that
Chris Tucker? Yeah.
The
You know,
better of
Chris.
Chris's.
They all look alike.
No worries,
you know
Dan.
what I mean?
Oh
no. Jokes.
I do have one last question.
They're
for
both
Dan
named
before he
Chris.
goes.
Yeah, Dan's going to have to take off here in a bit, there, guys. So if anyone has one last question they want to get off or want to ask, get off. Jeez, where's my mind? Still circling the gutter. We call the show. Now's a good time to ask that question.
I like watching the channel Esoterica. Have you ever watched his? And how, like, I consider his credentials to be scholarly, but like I've been wondering, I don't see anybody else, I guess, interacting with his content. So
I think we've talked about collaborating on something in the past, but yeah, he's legitimate. And I think that makes wonderful content. His field is a little more philosophy and esoteric knowledge and stuff like that, not so much biblical studies, but made a wonderful video on the God of Israel, the background of
the origins of Yahweh was an excellent video. Yeah. But I'm also a noob or a normie when it comes to my background in that, because I was theologically educated, not scholarly educated on the Bible. So
yeah.
No, it was a fascinating video, and then I sat back and I'm like, I should probably ask some other people if this is exactly what it's.
Did I just
sounds
watch
really
the
good?
History
Let me
Channel?
verify.
I need to know.
I got a question, Dr. Dan.
I think I'm changing my name to Neophyte now.
I just heard somebody mention something about Jesus not being crucified on earth, but that it was actually meant that he was crucified at the firmament.
Richard Carrier has entered the chat, everyone.
That's what I mean. It was mythicist stuff. I mean,
yeah.
I admit that,
well,
but I was just wondering if it was anything that you've ever heard before.
Yeah, I've heard that stuff before. There's no basis. It's basically how do we back translate from mythicism to what we have. So, and then we have to come up with the cosmic sperm bank and all of this crap, because it's like, well, we have all these texts, and in order to maintain mythicism, we have to deal with these things that are said, and we have to interpret them in some other way than the plain sense. And in order to connect the dot of mythicism to what's in the text, there are a bunch of things that you have to kind of work around. And you get things like, crucified in the firmament and cosmic sperm bank, and they're just all these notions that are not supported by any data whatsoever. A lot of mythicists have to basically retreat to the same kind of argumentation that apologists do. You can't prove it's not this way. Facts. And this way makes sense, right. And it's plausible. So therefore, that's the way we're going to go.
Where is the line of where mythicism begins? Because you hear people talk about who a historical Jesus or group of people who may have been legendized into a Jesus. Like, where is that line that you cross?
Are the Backstreet Boys going to be remembered?
Yeah, like somebody would say, well, I can see maybe there were 3 different people that were apocalyptic preachers, and over time they kind of just became the same person in literature or something. Like, is that the line that gets crossed, or does mythicism include that, or what?
Miracles.
Well,
right?
I think mythicism is. I wouldn't define mythicism. I think mythicism is kind of an identity, like Christian, like even atheist. These are groups that you identify with. And so I think that there's a fuzzy line separating folks who are like, maybe Jesus wasn't a real historical person, which I don't think is an unreasonable position to take. I don't think it's the most likely position to take, but I wouldn't say, how dare you take such a ludicrous position. I mean, it's not unreasonable, but most mythicists, at least the ones who are very active online and who get a lot of attention, are the ones who are deep into, well, we have to come up with some explanation for how we got the things that we got. And so let's say, there was all this stuff going on, and it was the dying and rising God motif. And so you had all Dionysus, and you had these people over here who wanted to make up this character, and the whole narrative kind of superstructure that you have to create is what I think is the main feature of what most people refer to by mythicism. But Bart Ehrman's book, Did Jesus Exist?, does, I think, a pretty good job of outlining the history of where mythicism comes from, and engaging with a lot of the primary kind of movers within mythicism. Yeah.
Just on a
Can I give a take on this before I explode?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please explain.
The problem with the thing about everything that is written about Jesus is written about as if he was a physical person who lived here on Earth. No one ever said anything about him being a celestial entity who was crucified. Like there's some authors like John in like Philippians chapter 2 who say like maybe he was a pre-existent being, but nobody says like he was a celestial entity here on Earth. Everyone refers to him as if he was a physical person, like Paul said, like Dan alluded to. Paul literally says he was born of a woman. So to counter that, mythicists say, oh, because he was born of the seed of David. And so mythicists will say, like, oh, that was the seed of David is referring to a cosmic sperm bank. Like, that's the bullshit they will, like, come up with to try and explain that, like, sorry, that's what Paul said. I didn't write it. Don't get mad at me for reading it. But that's what he said. So their counter for that is like, yeah, he's talking about a cosmic sperm bank in outer space. And like Paul says he was crucified, and the counter for that is, oh, he was actually crucified in the firmament by Satan. Where is that? Where is that?
Like David's sperm was preserved in a sperm bank for 1,000 years in outer space, so that Jesus could be born from the seed of David.
So they're doing apologetics.
So is this like a degenerate breeding program that they're talking about?
Sweet, use the voice.
Before you go, Dr. McClellan, I just wanted to on a subject that is only tangentially related to the Bible. I've enjoyed your takes on the origins of the Book of Mormon that I've heard in various locations, and I think it's fascinating and it's really neat. I've seen you on John DeLynne's channel and all of that. It's awesome. It's
thank you.
Really, really cool.
I appreciate the very kind words. Most of these days, or most of the time when people bring up the Book of Mormon, it's to berate me for not making that my whole identity. But yeah, I have had a few things to say about the Book of Mormon. But John's show was a fun show to go on. We've been chatting for many years now, and it was good to finally go and sit down for 15 hours with him, which is what you get into when you sign up for a John DeLynne interview. In the chat, someone asked about a recommendation for an accessible text about Isaiah 53, and I don't know of a whole book that discusses this. However, there's a wonderful book called The Bible With and Without Jesus by Mark V. Bretler and Amy Jo Levine, which is basically they're both Jewish scholars, and they talk about a bunch of different case studies, 9 or 10 case studies. They say, here's what scholars think was originally going on here. Here's how Jewish people interpret this. Here's how Christians interpret this. Let's try to bridge the gap and talk about these things. And one of the chapters is on Isaiah's suffering servant. And so it's intended for a popular audience. It's going to be a much more accessible discussion. But it has Son of Man, it has Psalm 22, it has the virgin birth, the sign of Jonah, it has Adam and Eve, Melchizedek. It's got a bunch of great discussions about things in the Hebrew Bible that Christians have kind of renegotiated for their own use, and talks about the differences, the points of contact and the points of differentiation between the two. So highly recommend that book for anybody looking for a discussion.
I love you adding, you've negotiated that into my worldly lexicon.
I was at a conference at Brown University a couple weeks ago on monotheism that I helped organize, and one of my friends who was there was giving a paper, and at one point I could tell was a little annoyed because they were like negotiated with the text, and like and I was like, ha! And it was a wonderful moment of victory where they realized that was such a handy.
As an economist who argues with people who are staunch capitalists, who I would like to place them in the same tray as evangelical Christians, as far as their adherence to dogma, I always say that you've negotiated that with Adam Smith's text.
Yeah, and Smith was doing negotiating of his own.
But if you've actually read Smith, and this is what my comment to them is like, he berates landowners, he berates landlords, he says heavy progressive taxation is necessary because everything will flow to the top, and it will never trickle back down. Smith was very progressive in his view of how wealth accrues.
Yeah. Yeah, and if that's going to be at all useful to today, it has to be renegotiated. Otherwise, it means nothing to at least to the folks who want to use it, to make it sound like the founding fathers were all Christian nationalists when they were mainly deists who advocated for Republican virtue, which means you put the interests of the Republic ahead of your own personal private interests. And then they fought the Revolutionary War, and everybody was like, well, we're not a good enough country to do that, so let's make a constitution that will at least try to mitigate the selfishness of our people. And
they also had, within 1 or 2 generations, the familial memory of the chaos of the English Revolution, the wars over sectarian strife.
Yeah.
Within the territory of what is today Massachusetts, you had 2 very, very disparate colonies. One of them being Puritan, the other one being what's the word? The separatists. No, they weren't Quakers. But the back and forth negotiation between the beliefs of the Plymouth colony and that of the Massachusetts Bay colony were enough to drive people crazy. So they're sitting there remembering all of this and saying, we can't have in these 13 colonies an establishment of religion because we'd be at war 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But they were also most of them were 1 generation removed from the South Sea Trading Company incident. And so economically, they were also very afraid of a government that could issue debt like the English crown could and the exchequer. And to note to that, the very first principal payment on that debt from 1707 from the South Sea Trading Company was made 7 years ago.
Oh, Jesus.
I can't
Comparatively inflation adjusted, it makes the great financial crisis look pithy. And
look, I just throw bills away. Okay.
If you're ever looking for the greatest economic crisis in Western, kind, that's it. The South Sea Trading Company.
Yeah. All right. On that note, I've got to go. I've got kids that need getting ready for bed, and me getting ready for bed. So, thank you so much, Neil, for and Mikey for the invitation for the super fun.
Pleasure, sir. It's been awesome.
Letting me be a part of your after party. I appreciate it. Good to meet.
You're welcome to join if you ever see us going. You're welcome to join anytime.
Yeah. I'll be happy to. I appreciate that. And good to meet all of you, and good to see you again, Ricky. And thanks again for the very kind gift. And I will let you know what Joel has to say about his gift. And thank you again. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks,
See you, Dan.
You too, man.
Night.
All right, let's talk.
What can I say? I'm about to. Ever since discovering this guy, I've wanted to have him on the show very badly because of just the information that he has stuffed in that brain is phenomenal, and he's just a cool guy overall. I mean, then he started showing off his T-shirts with the X-Men and Spider-Man and shit on it. I was like, this guy's I feel like he's like we would have been friends, if we'd met in real life and hung out. I'm sure of it. So, one day I just said, yeah, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it out there. And he's like, oh hell yeah, come on, sure, let's talk about stuff. I'm like, fuck yeah, and I got Dan on the show. So another bucket list thing.
He's so approachable. He's such like an easygoing guy. Like you might be like intimidated reaching out to him, but like he's chill as it gets. Yeah.
it's his persona when he's spewing out all that knowledge, right? You're like, holy fuck, you feel a little scared. Like, this guy knows.
Yeah, it's intimidating. It is, even for me.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's
no,
like
Dan's
that when
amazing.
It's like that when I go to conferences with like former Fed governors and stuff. You're sitting there talking to them, and you're like, and then you get in the back rooms with them, and they're like, "Yeah, you just read this, and yeah, or you start talking about college football or whatever." And
right,
they're people.
Yeah,
it's weird,
Hey, Captain Desk, you just missed Dan.
You guys are all NPCs in my story anyway. So
yeah.
I'm learning that's the deep dark secret about like the scholars. They're always willing to talk about like their field of study, but whenever you ask about like what hobbies do you like, what is something you don't get to talk about ever that you really want to talk about, they will just explode. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm waiting so long for somebody to ask me this question."
Thank you.
Like they want to talk about, something other than what they talk about for their entire, their full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
But
when,
also,
like, I
but
like
if you
it
go
when
to a
people-
scholar that isn't popular or doesn't have a popular field, and you ask them about their area of expertise, they also explode. Like,
Yep.
Yeah,
but
Talk
Deadpool,
about disc golf.
Deadpool's right. I'm so sick of talking about being attractive.
Yeah,
It's just all
I'm
the
really
time.
I'm really tired of talking about having a massive dick. I'm really
just
so
so
I see it every day. I'm really
all
over it.
day. It's all I hear. It's so annoying. I get
I'm
it.
tired of everyone talking about me being a massive dick. So
That's a topic that never gets old.
yeah, but I do.
By the way,
Hi guys.
it's a little limp, but aside from that,
Your dickness is evergreen, Neil.
Neil the 604 tool.
Neil, this is before
Poor
Atheist
dick.
after dark.
Cialis for Nick's. For Neil's
is
dick.
that millimeters or so? Never mind.
All right, everybody, I got to wrap this up. So I do want to thank everyone in the chat for hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate you guys being here. Also, thanks to our very special guest, Dan McClellan, tonight. If you missed the interview, it is linked in the description box below. And I have Dan's link tree also linked in the original interview. And he's got a ton of stuff there that's really cool. So definitely go check it out. Check out his podcast. Hi, Maya. Also, check out his work on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. He's amazing, and I had to get him on the show, and was finally able to get the guy on the show. So
That's great.
And he's a hell of a cool guy. And thanks to our patrons and our members. Thanks to Regios tonight for flopping out 10 more memberships out there. Appreciate that.
Don't say flopping out. I mean, can we say something?
We were talking about dicks earlier, so
just flop out is a weird verb choice.
all right. Like slapping out.
You erected 10.
Smacking out.
You erected 10 memberships out there, and
the ripping and the tearing.
Oh yeah.
my goodness.
So much for monetization now. Eh? Anyways, folks, that's it. Until next time. Next week, just by the way, I've got one of my coworkers' husbands is coming on to the show to talk about his horror show down under when he was a member of some crazy ass cult religion down there. So he'll be on the show to talk about that next week. So I don't remember. I think it's some form of JW or something like that. So
Super JW.
Good one.
Anywho, until then, guys, like I always say at the end of the after parties, like the late great Carl Sagan once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Later.